Welcome to another exciting episode of Tired Old Queen at the Movies. I'm in the mood for something fun, so let's go ask Steve and see what he's got for us.
It's comedy here at Tired Old Queen at the Movies. I thought you'd never get here. Come on. Johnny, we hadn't done a screwball comedy in a long time, so I chose from 1935 Libeled Lady, starring Jean Harlow, William Powell, Myrna, Spencer Tracy, and Walter Connelly, and directed by Jack Conway. Now, this was a wonderful pairing at MGM. The gloss was on. Harlow was at the height of her career, and she was playing these feisty broads. Basically, what this story is about, it's a newspaper story, which I love. I love newspaper stories like His Girl Friday, which was taken from the front page, you know. And this newspaper, where Spencer Tracy is like the head editor, has run a story that this international tycoon's daughter, played by Myrna, has taken a husband away from a marriage. And it's phony. They find out that their source was wrong, so they have to pull all the papers back.
Hurry up! We've got to get those papers back, every one!
They didn't get them all back, and the tycoon has heard, and he's going to sue the newspaper.
Don't forget to mention the amount we're suing for. That should interest them.
By the way, you might inform your Mr. Bain, Miss Allenbury is asking damages for $5 million.
So, Spencer Tracy is climbing the walls. Now, this just happens to happen on his wedding day, and he's about to marry Jean Harlow as Gladys. Now, Gladys is this gum-chewing girl. Harlow never looked more beautiful than she did in this movie. She's absolutely gorgeous, and she's so funny.
Glad you're getting yourself all upset, darling, over here. A little drinky, maybe.
No, not today I don't. Today I get married.
Get your hat. Hurry up. We're getting married. I don't care about this paper. Get your hat. He'll say, Gladys, I'll give you a marriage next year. I've been waiting years. Get your hat. She's so great. And he has to cancel the marriage.
Yes, you look beautiful. Will you show Miss Benton to a taxi?
And this is supposed to be the happiest day of a girl's life.
Yes, ma'am.
He goes to the editor, and the editor says, what are we going to do? And he says, we've got to get the best guy on libel cases that we can possibly get. And he says, it's William Powell.
And you fired him. The best man we ever had on libel. You admit it. And you fired him.
Yes, and I do it again. He was a heel, a conceited, double-crossing heel. Tried to run the whole paper. Thought he knew more about it than I did.
And was right.
Yeah. But he's the only man in the world that can swing this case.
Well, get him. Get him.
So Tracy goes to the hotel in New York where Powell is staying. They finally track him down. They track him all over the world. He's not to be found. They track him in this hotel, and he's just gotten a bill for $750 that he hasn't paid. So he's standing at the counter, and Spencer Tracy pokes him, and he goes, ah, yes.
Warren Haggerty. From Brooklyn to Bombay, a stab in the back spells Haggerty.
Oh. Tracy goes, now listen, I never stabbed you in the, how are ya? William Powell is so funny, so great. He goes, I'm great, Warren. How are you? He says, well, he says, are we in a little trouble? And Tracy hems and haws, well, yeah. He goes, you let them publish that article, didn't you? Couldn't you see a phony article a mile long? That's why the paper's gonna go downhill. Now don't you tell me that paper's going well downhill. I was wondering if I could do you a favor.
That's the proposition now, my lad. Drawn yesterday. I've been expecting you for 24 hours. $5,000 down and $45,000 more when you... Why, you're crazy. There isn't a reporter in the world that gets that much money. It's robbery. All right, forget it.
And Tracy goes, $10,000? I'm giving $10,000? Where's the paper?
Wait a minute. You ought to be arrested for extortion.
At that point, something falls out of Powell's pocket. He picks it up and he says, ah, you owe this money. He goes, yes, and now I'm free, and now I can help you.
But you'll get your money's worth. Now, here's the plan. Allenburys are in London, so I sail for England at once. But they're coming back in 10 days. That's why I'm sailing, to come back with them.
When I'm on the boat, I can set her up. Somehow, I'm going to get her caught in a situation with a man so that they have to retract that and they can't sue us because it's obvious that she's a manhunter. So he goes to England. He meets up with Myrna, who's delightful. you know, there was nobody more frisky or fun or just sophisticated and wonderful than Myrna Loy. And her father's played by this character actor, Walter Connelly, who sort of had a lisp. And he's a little bit, you know, he's a little bit befuddled. You know, his daughter's putting him through things. She's always costing him money.
I appreciate that spirit of fair play, Mr. Haggerty.
He's really kind of wonderful. Well, Powell comes out and Myrna Loy's onto him right away that he's just a shyster trying to get close to her and her father.
You know, it's just dawned on me that I seem to have made myself a permanent member of your party.
Yes, it's dawned on me, too.
And she just keeps avoiding him. And he finds out that the father's really interested in trout fishing, that's his big love.
To feel the trout on your line, to play him, to reel him in. There's no thrill in the world like it.
So he reads up as much on trout fishing as he possibly can.
The best rainbow trout fishing is found in Lake Taupo, New Zealand. Yes, yes.
He gets the father's attention, and the father kind of occupies him, but he can't get Myrna Loy into a situation.
Father, for 2 hours we've had nothing but fish.
When they get back to New York, Spencer Tracy says, yeah, we're paying you all this money and you didn't get any results on that boat. And Powell says, all right, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go up to Canada with them and fish. And he says, when I get up there, that's when I'll get her. I'll get her to fall in love with me and I'll set her up. Now this is what we've got to do. In order for me to really set her up so she's caught taking a husband away, I've got to be married. You got to find somebody for me to marry. So Tracy goes, I got the perfect thing. My girlfriend Gladys, she'll marry. Well, Harlow hits the roof.
Would I ask you to do this thing for me if I didn't consider you practically as my wife?
Well, would you ask your wife to hook up with that ape?
The ape objects.
Boom! Next thing, they're standing in front of the altar. She has to marry William Powell. Instead of kissing him, she bites him.
Oh! Well, for the... Hey!
She avoids him and kisses the best man, Spencer Tracy, who she's really in love with.
An old friend of the family.
Yes.
So he has to learn how to fly fish. They get this guy to come over to the apartment and teach him how to cast so he can, you know, look like a convincing fly fisherman. So he's casting the rod and he keeps hooking Jean Harlow in the ass with fish hooks and pulling her over.
You did it, sir. You did it.
I'll say he did it.
He goes on the fishing trip with Myrna Loy, and she still suspects him. And they're working upstream. She says, Father, have you noticed he hasn't caught a single fish? And the father says, I wish you'd stay out of my business. You know, he's obviously a refined fisherman. He knows what he's doing. No one would know all about those lures if he wasn't. You know, she says, I think he's a con man, and he's really onto you. Well, he's not, and he's going to prove it to you. Powell works his way up. And he drops the little pamphlet that says, you know, how to fly fish in the river. And it starts going down the river. So he's running down the river holding his rod. He falls. He goes into the white water. He's going rolling. He comes up and just by chance, his rod gets hit by the biggest trout that everybody's been trying to get for years. And the trout is pulling him down the river. And it's one of the greatest physical comedy bits I've ever seen. William Powell was a consummate comedian. He could be sophisticated and wry as he was in The Thin Man and come off with these bon mots. But when it came for pratfalls and physical comedy, he was terrific. It gets into one frantic thing after another. He has to feign a fight with Spencer Tracy. They have to fool, you know, Jean Harlow. Jean Harlow comes to like William Powell as much as she likes Spencer Tracy. And the whole thing is a jumble, and it all gets worked out in the end. The best thing about this movie is the freshness of the actors. They loved each other. Myrna Loy said this was one of the best movies that she ever made, the most fun sets. Everybody loved everybody else. And you're gonna love this movie. It's just light, it's glamorous, the gowns are gorgeous by Dolly Tree. Everybody looks like $1 million. The opening credits have the four of them walking together, and you can hear, you know, they're kind of looking like this, and it says Libeled Lady, and you can see William Powell go, well, here we go. And Harlow just starts laughing. They're all having the time of their lives, and you're gonna have the time of your life with Jean Harlow, William Powell, Myrna Loy, Spencer Tracy, and Walter Connelly in the classic screwball comedy Libeled Lady. It's so great. This movie stars just a second.
Things to eat, The popcorn can't be beat.